Hi you guys, today's lesson is on multiplying and dividing integers. So before you get started with this video, I need you to have your multiplying and dividing integers practice sheet. We are going to use this bottom part of the worksheet, this empty space, to take some notes about the rules for multiplying and dividing integers. The nice thing about this lesson is that once you know the rules for multiplying integers, you also know the rules for dividing integers because they are the same. So the skill you are learning in this lesson is not how to multiply and divide. That's something that you already know. The skill that you're learning is to be able to figure out what sign your answer is going to be when you are multiplying positive and negative numbers together. Okay? It's just a set of rules that you need to have memorized. So when you have a positive and you multiply that by another positive. So if you have a positive integer multiplied by another positive integer, your answer will always be positive. If you have a negative integer multiplied by another negative integer, your answer will always be positive. If you have a positive integer multiplied by a negative integer, your answer will always be negative. And if you have a negative integer multiplied by a positive integer, your answer will always be negative. Okay? So I want you to notice that if both of your signs are positive or both of your signs are negative, your answer is going to be positive. Now, these are different rules than the rules that you learned for adding and subtracting integers. Okay? So you have to keep these straight. If you have two negatives being multiplied together, your answer will always be positive. Okay? Notice that if you have a negative integer multiplied by a positive integer in either order, your answer will always be negative. So at the bottom of your paper, I want you to write these rules. Okay? I want you to write this little chart right here, right at the bottom of your paper. And remember, the rules for dividing integers are exactly the same as the rules for multiplying integers. So let's go ahead and look at another image. This is just another way of looking at what the rules are for multiplying and dividing integers. So if both signs are positive or both signs are negative, your answer is going to be positive. Okay, so if you have the same signs, they're either both positive or both negative, your answer is going to be positive. And if you have different signs, one of them's negative, your answer is going to be negative. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of the rules. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of a trick. This is called the party hat trick. Okay, you can see I have a party hat up here. And I'm sure that all of you guys have worn a party hat before. And I'm sure that you all know that that elastic part that goes around your chin when you're wearing a party hat, it's kind of uncomfortable. Okay, so when you're using the party hat method as a way to figure out what signs your answer is going to be, we call the bottom of the party hat our negative part. And then the top part of the party hat, it always has like a pom-pom or streamers. It's the part of the hat that's fun. Okay, so the top of our party hat, it's the positive part. Okay, so if you're using the party hat method to help you know what sign your answer needs to be, the way that it works is this. Let's say you have a positive 5 and you're multiplying that with a negative 6. Okay, so you draw this little triangle on your paper, you draw your little party hat. Okay, and you can just have this. I want you to actually draw this at the bottom of your paper. Okay, and you would cover up the positive and you would cover up one of the negatives, and then whatever sign you're left with, that's the sign of your answer. Okay, so if we cover up the positive for the positive 5 and the negative for the negative 6, you can see that we have a negative sign left. So a positive 5 times a negative 6 would be a negative 30. Let's go ahead and look at the party hat method for another example. Okay, let's say we have a -7 times by a -6. Okay, so we have our little party hat here. Remember, this is the negative part of the hat and this is the positive part of the hat. Okay, so if we're trying to figure out what the sign of our answer is going to be when we multiply -7 times -6, we cover up the two negative signs. Okay, so we cover up this one and we cover up this one. And then the sign that we have left, that's the sign of our answer. So we can see that the sign of our answer would be positive. A -7 times a -6 is a positive 42. Now remember, I told you that the rules for multiplying and dividing integers is the same. So let's try the party hat method with a division problem. Okay, let's say we have a -6 divided by a +2. Okay, so we have our little party hat here. This is the negative part of our hat. This is the positive part of our hat. So we would cover up the -6. Okay, the sign of that one's negative. We would also cover up the +2. And we can see that the sign that we have left is a negative. Okay, so a -6 divided by a +2 would be a -3. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about, and then we are going to be ready to practice some problems. Okay, so in math, there are a few different ways that you are going to see multiplication. So you may see it with a multiplication symbol, 5 times 6. You may also see a dot in between the two numbers. This means 5 times 6. You may also see one of the numbers in a parenthesis. Okay, so if you have a 5 right next to a parenthesis with the 6 in it, that means multiplication. And you could also have two parentheses right next to each other, and that also means multiplication. Okay, and I'm sure that you guys have seen these before, but I just wanted to review that with you. And then I want to show you a couple of the ways that you may see division in math. Okay, so one of the ways that you may see division is just with a division symbol, like 42 divided by -7. Okay, or you might see it written as a fraction. If you have a 42 divided by -7 written as a fraction, that also means division. Okay, so these are the two different ways that you may see division in this class moving forward. So what I want to do with you now is we are going to complete the examples for the find each product and find each quotient. Okay, so let's start with number 1. I'm going to go ahead and grab or draw my little triangle here, my little party hat, just so I can use that as a reference. Okay, so number 1, we have a +5 times a -6. So if you have a positive times a negative, remember if you use your little party hat, you can cover up the negative, you can cover up the positive, and the sign that you have left is the negative. So that would be -30. Number 2, we have a -7 times by a -4. So if we have our little party hat here, this is the negative part of the hat, this is the positive part of the hat. So if we have a negative times by another negative, our answer will be positive. So our answer would be positive 28. Okay. Remember, any time one of your integers is negative, your answer will be negative. Anytime both of your integers are negative, your answer will be positive. Okay, so number 3, -7 times +9 would be a -63. Number 4, +5 times -9 would be a -45. Number 5, -8 times 5 would be a -40. Number 6, -2 times -5 would be a +10. Number 7, -8 times -4 is a positive 32. Number 8, -6 times -5 is a positive 30. Number 9, -9 times -1 is positive 9. And number 10, 9 times -3 is -27. Okay, so those are some examples for multiplying integers. Remember that in math, the word product, that means to multiply. Now let's go ahead and look at some examples of division problems. In math, the word quotient, that means to divide. Okay, so number 11, 42 divided by -7. Remember, the rules for dividing integers are exactly the same as the rules for multiplying integers. So if you have a positive divided by a positive, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a negative divided by a negative, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a positive divided by a negative, your answer will be negative. And if you have a negative divided by a positive, your answer will be negative. So 42 divided by -7, we know 42 divided by 7 is 6. A positive divided by a negative is a -6. Number 12, -90 divided by -10. That would be positive 90. Number 13, -24 divided by -6. That would be a positive 4. Number 14, -30 divided by -10. That would be a positive 3. Number 15, 45 divided by -5. That would be -9. Number 16, we have a fraction here, but remember, a fraction is another way of showing division. So we would read this as 4 divided by -4. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by -4 would be -1. Number 17, -40 divided by -4, that would be positive 10. Number 18, -36 divided by a positive 4 would be a -9. Number 19, -4 divided by positive 4 would be a -1. And number 20, -30 divided by 10 is a -3. Okay, so because you guys already know how to multiply and divide, the only new thing you learned today is the rules for knowing which sign your answer is. So now, what I want you to do is I want you to bring me this worksheet. Okay, I want to see that you have finished taking notes and that you have all of those example problems done. And then I want you to turn to the back side of that worksheet. Okay, so you're going to bring me this first. I'm going to check it off with you, and then you're going to be ready to move on to the next assignment, which is multiplying and dividing integers. Okay, so I'm going to explain this to you. At the bottom, it says if answer X is between, okay, and then you'll notice on the next column over, it says -30 is less than or equal to X, which is less than or equal to -11. So if the answer of your problem is in between -30 and -11, you are going to color that square black, okay? So you're going to need some colored pencils for this assignment. If your answer is in between -10 and 9, positive 9, you're going to color that square yellow. If your answer is in between 10 and 29, you are going to color that square blue. Okay, so this is where I'm reading right here. And if your answer is in between 30 and 50, you are going to color that square gray. Okay, so for this assignment, you're going to need 4 colors of colored pencils: black, yellow, blue, gray. If you want to pick 4 different colors, that's okay. And I do have some colored pencils that you can use. You'll just have to not give them back to me, I guess. So hopefully you guys have your own colored pencils. Now, when you look at this assignment, you're going to see that it is full of multiplication problems and division problems. So you're going to figure out the answer for each of these, and then you're going to use this chart on the bottom to help you figure out which color that square should be based on the answer. Okay, so if you're having any questions about that or you're not sure what to do, please bring it back to me and I will be happy to help you. So this assignment is due by the next class. Okay, so make sure that you have this assignment due before tomorrow, and yeah, please ask if you have any questions.